Okay, good morning everyone. Today we will focus on completely virtual network in Azure. So basically, whenever you want to select the virtual network, the first part you need to do is you need to select the address range for this virtual network. Address range. And further, you need to split your VNet into multiple subnets. This is subnet 1, this is subnet 2. This subnet has a range. And this subnet also has a range. Okay. So this is the address space of the VNet or range, that is 10.0.0.0/16 means first two sets are constant, remaining two sets will vary from 0 to 255, 0 to 255. Within this range, we further split our network into two subnets. The first subnet is 10.0.1.0. That 24 means first set, second set, third set. Three digits are constant. Last digit will vary from 0 to 255. So similarly for here, first set, second set, third set. These three were constant and fourth will vary from 0 to 255. So these are the IP addresses available in the respective subnets. Now, here you need to create a resource. So let's say if you want to create a virtual machine or if you want to create a storage or anything, you can create under the subnet. Okay, anything you can create. For example, this is VM1 and this is VM2. For example, this is storage and this is app service and this is another app service. So anything you can create under the subnet. So the basic requirement in Azure, if you want to create any resource, is first you must have one VNet and then you must have one subnet, and within that subnet only you will create a resources. This is the blind requirement. And now, yes, we have a virtual network and we have a subnet, and inside the subnet we have created a resources. Now I explain you that if you want to protect a VNet, yes, you can protect by using firewall. Okay, that is fine. But this traffic, if you observe coming to the VNet, this is outer space. But if I want to restrict or I want to stop traffic from another subnet, because although we are in the same network, I am not allowing other resources from another subnet to contact with another resources in the subnet one. How we can restrict traffic between these two? If it is traffic is coming from the outside, yes, it will be restricted by the firewall. But what about the traffic coming within the network? So how you can restrict that? So to restrict that, there is one more concept called network security group. Okay, so you need to protect each subnet with a concept of network security group, that is NSG, network security group. Okay, this is NSG for subnet 1 and this is NSG for subnet 2. So within this NSG, you have two things. One is inbound rule, means the traffic coming to the network security group, and second one is outbound rule, means the traffic leaving from the network security group. Okay, means if you add any rule in the inbound configuration, then that is meant to the traffic coming to the network. Or when you define any rule related to the outbound, that means you are sending traffic from the network to outside. So which port you want to allow, which port you want to block. or which website you want to, which domain you want to allow, or which domain you want to restrict. That you need to define under inbound rules and outbound rules. For example, if I can say the inbound rule, if I specify www.xyz.com, what it means? So if the request is coming from www.xyz.com, then it will allows. Okay. Coming to the outbound rules, from this VM, if I browse www.xyz.com, then it will send the traffic to the www.xyz.com. It will allow to browse. Okay. If you want to allow to browse from the virtual machine, you need to allow a outbound rule. If somebody wants to browse your website or your VM from outside in the sense within the network from another subnet, then you need to add that particular details in the inbound rule. So for example, if from the subnet 2, this storage account or from all the resources within subnet 2 want to access the resources under subnet 1, then in the inbound rule, you need to add the subnet 2 IP address, that is 10.0.2.0/24. So if you add that inbound rule by specifying the subnet, so that it is also within the VNet only. So within the VNet, it will resolve this IP addresses. So it will allow whatever the request coming from the subnet to, it could be request originated from storage or app service or this app service trying to access this VM1 or this VM2 from this subnet, then it will allow. To do that, what you need to do, you need to add one inbound rule in the NSG so that it will allow the request from the subnet too. So let's say, for example, as I explained in this scenario, if you want to access anything outside the VNet. For example, www.xyz.com. It's an internet website. This resides outside the VNet. That means the traffic must leave from subnet 1 to outside and then from VNet, and then it has to reach out to the internet. So if you want to outbound the www.xyz.com from this VNet, you need to allow that exclusion in firewall also, so that the request will originate from this subnet and this will come out of this network security group by specifying this in the outbound rule. And if you want to came outside from the VNet also, then you need to allow the rule, the same website in the firewall. In the firewall also, we have the same inbound and outbound rules. There you will specify so that it will allow the website or it will allow the request to go outside of the VNet. But if you want to browse anything within the VNet from one subnet resources to the another subnet resources, you will simply exclude them in inbound and outbound rules of the NSGs only. There is no need to reach out to the firewall because all these traffics are internal. That means within the network. Okay, so that's fine. And next, one more interesting topic is, so as I told you, if it is a single VNet, within this VNet is protected by the firewall. And within this VNet, we have a multiple subnets, and each subnet is protected with network security group. And this is absolutely fine. This is absolutely fine. This is a single environment scenario. For example, this VNet in Azure is meant for a region. So basically, in Azure, everything is maintained at the region specific or regional level. What is meant by the region and how it will maintain? For example, Azure have data centers across the globe. Okay, so each continent or each country they will make it as a region. For example, US, if you consider, you have West US, they have their data center. So if you select the location or region as West US, whatever the environment you are going to create in Azure, that environment or that particular configuration, it used to put under the servers of the West US data center location. Okay, if you want to select the location or region as Mumbai Central or Canada Central, then it used to keep your information or your details, whatever the infrastructure you have created, that infrastructure it will be created under Canada data center servers. Similarly, in Azure, there are huge number of regions available. You need to select which region you want to keep your resources. Okay, so that is where the region comes into the picture. And same for the VNet. Also, the VNet can be created at the regional level. So if you want to create a VNet, you need to select under which region I want to create my network. For example, if I choose the region as West US, so it will create that VNet under this West US data centers. So this is fine. So next we'll take the same scenario. Again, I want to create one VNet here in the West US region. This is West US region, and I want to create a data center. I want to create a virtual network under this West US region. So this is fine. Now, if you observe the disaster recovery point of view. So if you talk about disaster recovery, so you created one virtual network, and within this virtual network, you created multiple subnets, and within the multiple subnets, you created your resources, and you are going to access and you are maintaining everything from these resources. That's absolutely fine. Now, all of a sudden, if something is happened to this West US region or this West US 2 data center, what will happen? Your entire application will be collapsed. Your entire application will be collapsed. So to maintain that, what is the recommended approach is you need to maintain your infrastructure in other region as well. Means you need to create one more VNet in another region. Okay, you need to create your subnet, your VNet in another region, like Canada, I can say. So if you consider the possibilities, it's very rare probability that both the data centers will be collapsed, because it could be a climate changes, or it could be environment effect, or it could be network outage or power outage. It will not happen in both the places at a single time. Okay, so to maintain the disaster recovery, then it is recommended to create your resources across the regions. Don't put all the resources in a single region. If you put all the resources in a single region, if something is happening to that regional data center, then total your environment will be shut down or collapsed or not available. That is the reason it is recommended to split your resources into multiple regions. Okay, so fine. So now I created one more region, and within this region also I have multiple subnets, and I have each subnet is protected with the same network security groups in the Canada also. So now it's absolutely fine. So what I told you, if resources from subnet 1 of VNet 1 will trying to access resources of VNet 2 within the subnet or subnet 2. Subnet 1 of the resources is going to access subnet 2, then what I told you, you need to allow inbound or outbound rules of the dedicated subnet, this network security group. Or if you want to allow things into this subnet too, then you need to allow the inbound and outbound rules in this network security group. This is absolutely fine. Now, what if I want to access resources of, for example, this is my Canada Central subnet, okay, from subnet 1, or this Canada Central subnet 2, and this subnet is also protected with resource group here, sorry, network security group here. So I protected with network security group here. This is absolutely fine. Now, what if the resources of Canada Central Subnet 1 trying to access the resources of West US 2 Subnet 2? How I can do that? Because if you observe the concept wise, this VNet is equipped, or this VNet is created with private IP addresses, correct? And this VNet also we created with private IP addresses. But if you don't have any attachment from this VNet to this another VNet, it won't reach to this VNet, because both are private IP addresses only, and they can't be resolved. Okay, both are private IP addresses only, and this VNet can't resolve this VNet. Okay, so how you make an establishment, or how you make a connection between these virtual networks, so that you can contact the resources of another VNet from this VNet. So you need to establish a link between these two, a link between these two. So if you establish a link between these two, then the resources from one VNet to another VNet can communicate. So this link we used to call it as peering. This is called VNet peering. If you consider the same scenario, you made the VNet peering so that the resources from VNet 1 are able to see the resources in VNet Canada, and similarly, the resources in VNet Canada can see the resources in VNet in West US. Again, if you want to access the resources from subnet 1 to West US to VNet 1 subnet, again you need to add that rules in the network security groups. Again, although it is VNet peered, You need to add the rules in the network security group. Then only it will try to access your resources in the another VNet, another subnet within that VNet. Okay, so if you do the peering between two virtual network, then the resources from one VNet can resolve the resources in another VNet. But still, if you want to access the resources from one VNet to another VNet, you need to follow the respective network security group rules, so that only the resources can access resources from another subnet. So now it's fine. Now I have a query. That is, for example, what I told you, each VNet will be protected with one firewall. So if you observe this scenario, this subnet is protected with this network security group, and this subnet is protected with this network security group. Similarly, this subnet is protected with this network security group, and this subnet is protected with this network security group. That's absolutely fine. So what about the VNets? Where you protected? For example, if you want to protect in this scenario, I need to establish a firewall for VNet 1, and I need to establish a firewall for VNet 2. Okay, so why I need to maintain two firewalls altogether? Those VNets are belongs to my network only, and I peered them. Is there any possible way to use a single firewall to protect both of them? Because these are my VNet and these are my VNet. Why should I maintain a security for both of them separately? Is there any single way where I can protect, I can implement security at one level and I can protect all the VNets? Yes, there is a concept that is called hub and spoke architecture. So what is meant by this hub and spoke architecture? So for example, you have a community. You have a community. Within this community, you have some houses. Now, if you want to protect them, you need to establish one security. You need to establish one security, so that what will happen, whatever the traffic coming to any of these houses, he must comes via this gate, and here we have a security, and he will decide you need to allow him or deny him. Once he approves the request, what will happen, he knows where to forward that request. For example, the route is established between these two, the route is established between these two, and the route is established between this, and the route is established between this. And anyway, these two will communicate, and 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 these two also will communicate, and these two also will communicate internally. So if you observe this scenario, all these are we considered as VNets. This is VNet 1, and this is VNet 2, and this is VNet 3, and this is VNet 4. So if you observe these links, these are called peerings. Okay, so what is the benefit of this approach? Because if you want to allow anything to the VNet 2, instead of establishing a firewall at VNet 2 level or implementing security at VNet 2 level, instead I am dedicatedly assigning one VNet. This is VNet 5. So I'm dedicatedly assigning one VNet for security purpose. So it will be internet faced. So whatever the request coming through, the first it will comes to this VNet, and there it will validate that request is valid or not. If it is valid, then it will allow you to the environment. Okay, so that these are not publicly accessible, these are protected internally, and only we are keeping one virtual network which is exposed to the public, and all the virtual networks are connected to this particular VNet file. Okay, so that we are not opening firewall on each virtual network, instead we are opening at a single level, so that whatever the traffic coming through, it must pass through this one. So this VNet you can keep under this VNet if you want to monitor the traffic, or if you want to allow the security implications. Here you will establish firewall, or you can establish bastion, or you can establish gateway, or you can establish VPN. So if you are a real-time guy, you will see, you will listen these names. You can hear these names of firewall, bastion, gateway, or VPN. So those are nothing but here. Those are nothing but they used to maintain that virtual network. They used to keep these devices inside this so that they will monitor the traffic. And if everything goes fine and if it is a valid request, then it will allow you to this network so that you can go and communicate with the respective destination and you can leave. If it is not allowable, then it will deny from here itself. Your firewall, your bastion or gateway or VPN will deny that request. So this is called hub and spoke architecture. So if you see it in a different way, it looks like in a different manner. The hub is like a cycle rim, we can call it as. For example, if I draw the same architecture in different way, this is one VNet, this is one VNet, and this is one VNet, and this is one more VNet, and this is one more VNet, and this is one more VNet, and we have one main VNet. So if you observe this, all these are connected to the one VNet to another VNet, one VNet to another VNet, and all these are centrally connected to the central VNet. The central VNet we used to call it as hub. Here we used to establish the firewalls or gateways or VPN. So if you observe this, it look like a cycle. That's why we used to call it as a hub and spoke architecture. So this is called hub. That is called hub. We used to call it as, and these are called spokes. Spoke 1, spoke 2, spoke 3, and then spoke 4, and then spoke 5, and then spoke 6. So this is called hub and spoke architecture. So every spoke or every VNet is centrally connected to the hub, and your hub is internet faced. So your hub is reachable from the internet. So whatever the request coming through, it will first comes to the hub and it will validate here. And if everything goes fine, if it is approved, then from hub it will go to the respective place. But these spokes are not publicly available. So each line we used to call it as peering with hub. So you need to establish a peering with hub. In addition, along with the spoke 2, spoke 6 to spoke 1 or spoke 1 to spoke 2, you need to establish a peering between spoke 1 to hub and spoke 6 to hub and spoke 2 to hub. So all the networks to the hub, you need to establish a peering. For example, if the resources from spoke 6 want to access the resources from spoke 1, there is no need of going through firewall. It can reach out here directly. Okay, there is no need of screening because these are within the network, within the network. And but if you want to resource any resources from hub to or outside to the spoke 6, then that must follow the request initially to the hub and then it will comes to spoke 6. But if you want to allow communication from spoke 5 to spoke 6, then it will directly come and it will directly communicate. Similarly for spoke 5 to spoke 1 also, spoke 5 to spoke 2 also, it will directly communicate. There is no need of going through firewall. So whatever the spokes, if you see here, if you want to communicate, they can directly communicate with another spoke because of the peering. But whatever the request coming to your network from outside world, that must first comes to the hub and their screening must be happen. If everything goes fine, then hub will allow it to travel to the respective spoke. Okay, this is about hub and spoke architecture. Now we see the practical in Azure, how it looks like. So first of all, you need to log into your Azure with the help of portal.azure.com. So once you log into your Azure, it looks like in this way. Here, whatever the services you are going to search in Azure, those resources you want to search from the search button here. If you see the search box here, here you need to search that resources. For example, I need a virtual network. So I will search for virtual networks. Okay. So the virtual network comes in this way. You need to select this virtual network. Okay. It looks like here. Okay, so now if you have an existing virtual network, then it will be showed here. If you don't have a virtual network, then you need to create here. So again, if you come back to the hierarchy, if you want to create any resources in Azure, the first thing you need to require is subscription. Just check you have a subscription. Yes, I have a subscription. And second thing you need to have is resource groups under the subscription. Just check you have a resource groups created. Search for resource groups. So you will get the resource groups. Okay. So click on the resource group. See, is there any resource group? No. First of all, you need to create a resource group here. Now click on create. Here you need to provide your subscription. If you have a multiple subscriptions, you will get the drop down here. You need to select the respective subscription and you need to select the resource group. Okay, which resource group you want to create, you just select your resource group. So this naming convention, your organizations follows certain syntax, you need to follow that syntax. Otherwise, you need to create your resource group name with your desired name. If your organization follows syntax, just follow the syntax, or else you can keep your desired name. And the next part is region or location. Under which location I want to create this resource group. So if you select here, there are multiple regions available. So there are East US, South Central US, West US 3, Australia, Southeast, North Europe. There are many countries or many data centers available across the globe. So you need to select which place you want to keep. For example, if it is East US, just keep it as East US only. Or if you want to go for West US2, select West US2. No issue. And then this part is completed. Go for next part. So now I have a tags. Tags are nothing but for identification purpose. You are creating a tag means for identification purpose. For example, if you go to the resource group here, I created a resource group test-rj. And if after 1 week or after 1 month or after 1 year, if I want to remember why I created this test-rj, any reason for that. Okay, so if I want to provide certain information while creating itself, the purpose why I am creating and who created it and when created it and which application it is utilizing and for what environment I created this. If you want to keep all this information, that information you will keep it under tags. This tags will store under key value pairs. For example, I can say created created by. This is one tag. Who created it? If you want, you can create your name, or if you want, you can specify your mail ID. Anything you can specify. So, okay. For example, this person created this one. So it will be easy to remember. Or if you want, you can search the resources with the help of tags also. I want to see the resources who created by this xyzabc.com. So this way, the tags will be utilized. You can store any information. So created, creation, date, or the date you can give, or environment, whatever the information you want to store, you can store that information in the tags part. For example, if it is dev, you can give it as a dev. So this won't impact anything. Okay, it is just for identification purpose and it is just for your recognition or remembering purpose. That's it. And next part is review and create. That's it. Here just review. I'm going to create a resource group under this subscription, and my resource group name is this one, and the region which I selected is this one, and these are the tags I have specified. Okay, and that's it. Once your validation is passed, then it will ask you to create. Okay, so this way you can create your resource group. If you see, one resource group is created. So if you want, you can create resources from here itself within this resource group, or else you can follow the same approach. Here I'll search for virtual network. Okay, if I select virtual network, it looks like here. And now you need to click on create. Okay, if you click on create, so it will comes like this. Now, first in the basics part, you need to select the respective subscription and you need to select the respective resource group. So if you want to create the resource group from here itself, you can create a new resource group. If you click on create new, again it will ask you the details. Okay, what resource group name you want to create. So if you want to create test1-rg, you click on OK. It will create from the backend. So in addition to the virtual network creation, first it will create the resource group and then it will create virtual network under that resource group. If you want to choose an existing one, in the drop down, you can select that existing one. Both cases will be same. And next part is virtual network name. So what name you are going to give for this virtual network? For example, I want to give this name as Hub VNet 1. This is the name I want to give you. So for remembering purpose, I want to make this virtual network as a hub. That is the reason I kept that name as Hub Virtual Network. And okay, and next one is region. And which region I want to keep this Hub Virtual Network. For example, I want to keep this virtual network Hub 1 in the West US region. It's absolutely fine. Next, click on next. And next part, security. Coming to the security, what what level of security you want to implement for this virtual network. For example, if you want to encrypt this virtual network, you can select encryption so that it will encrypt the traffic based on the encryption rules available in the Azure as a backend. Or if you don't want to encrypt, it's absolutely fine because anyway you are keeping one firewall for all these things and you are keeping the gateways and everything. So you can, it's absolutely fine if you uncheck this encryption. The next one is if you want to use this virtual network as a bastion. Yes, you can enable the bastion and you can give the bastion name. And for that bastion, you need to provide one public IP so that it will be publicly available. So as I discussed, so it will be publicly available. So this hub must be resolved from the internet so that the traffic will comes to here. Okay, here you can establish bastion or anything so that the traffic directly comes to this bastion. Okay, if you want to establish a bastion, you can create like this. Or I don't want to use bastion. Instead of bastion, I want to use firewall. Yes, you can use firewall. Then firewall name. That for particular firewall, it will create a dedicated subnet. And the firewall, they are giving two options. One is standard and second one is premium. So if you want to go for a standard or if you want to go for a premium or if you want to go for a basic, it's up to you. But everything has a dedicated cost and everything has a dedicated additional features or extra features. If you want to go for a standard, it's absolutely fine. The nominal one is standard one, you can take it. And next, if you want to establish a firewall, you need to define certain policy. Policy means what kind of devices or what kind of request I need to allow or what kind of request I need to deny and from which IP I need to allow and from which IP I need to deny. All these things will be defined under the policy. So if you have any existing policy, you can utilize it or else if you want to create a new policy, you can create a new policy. For example, Hub VNet firewall policy. Whatever the name, it is giving one default name. If you want to create with your own name, you can create it. So it will create a new policy. Later, you can modify that policy. You can allow the rules or add the rules. Again, for the public IP address, you need to have one public IP address for the firewall. If you have a public IP address is available, you can utilize it or you can create a new public IP address from here itself. Just provide the name for the public IP address. If you want to go for a basic public IP or standard public IP, anything is fine. The recommended approach is you can utilize the standard one and click on OK. So it will create a new public IP address. Or else you can create a public IP address from search itself. If you go to the search and if you search for public IP addresses, you will get it. Again, you need to go to the public IP addresses and create, click on create and create a new public IP address. And that public IP address will come under this drop down. The way how the resource came here, right? Similarly, that will come here. No, I don't want to use this VNet for firewall purpose also. You can uncheck it. Okay. So if you want to distribute denied of systems or some kind of DDoS attacks, if you want to protect, you can use DDoS protection also. Okay, for that protection, you need to purchase one plan or you need to create one DDoS protection plan. So like you, again, it has some rules, which traffic you need to allow, which traffic you need to deny, some kind of anomaly score, and it will keep an eye. If something feels suspicious, then it will protect it or it will deny it. Okay, so if you want to use this VNet as that purpose, you can utilize this one. So these are the options available. So for now, what I will do, I will create one firewall for this. Okay, so this is the firewall, this is the firewall policy, and I'm creating one public IP address. Okay, that's absolutely fine. Next, click on next part. Coming to the IP addresses for this virtual network, you need to select the range. If you see here, 10.0.0.0/16 means first two digits were constant, last two digits will vary. The same if you observe here, 10.0, this last two digits will vary from 255 to 255. And how many IP addresses are you are getting? You are getting 65,536 IP addresses you are getting. Okay, this is the win. If you want, no, I don't want to this one. Yes, you can create whatever the VNet you can create. Okay, you can create it. Fine. So by default with VNet, it will comes one subnet called default subnet. There is one subnet called default subnet will come. Okay, and I selected Bastion. That is the reason this Bastion came. Now I don't want the Bastion. Now I have selected only firewall here, right? So for that firewall, there is a dedicated subnet required. So it is creating one dedicated subnet. So if you want to use different subnet, you can edit it and you can modify the subnet. Or along with these two subnet, I want to create one more subnet. Yes, you can create it. If you click on add subnet, yes, it is asking what is the purpose of the subnet. If you want to use the subnet for Bastion, you can select Bastion. If you want to use this subnet for firewall, you can use firewall. For firewall management or gateway or routing server, what is the purpose? I don't want to use this subnet for any other purpose, and I want to create this subnet for the resources, then you can use default for Azure storage account, virtual machines, or anything you want to create, except this firewall, bastion, or whatever it is defined. Then you can choose default option and then name for the subnet. So whatever the subnet you want to create, just give the name for that subnet. After that, so I'm using IPv4 addresses only. So I need to check mark this so that I will get this IP addresses. This IP 10.0.0.16, the parent VNet IP addresses will come here. So now I have the parent IPv4 addresses. Now I need to create a subnet out of this, So this way you can create. For example, 10.0, the first two digits are constant, the next digit will vary. So that I keep it as a 2 and the range. If you select as 24, you'll get 256. If you select less, it will give you a conflict. If you select 16, it will say the conflict because it is not a valid CR block. It is out of the scope. Okay, it is out of the scope because this is out of the range. 16 means it is vary from 0 to 0. But if you again select 2.0, this will be vary from out of the parent scope. So it must be above or it must be greater than your VNet mask, VNet IP mask. It is 16 means it must be greater than 16. So if I select any other IP address for 17 or around, yes, it is accepting because this must be within this range. So you need to select how many IP addresses you require for the subnet. You need to select that one. So for now, 256 or 26, 64 addresses is fine for me. For this, then you can select. Or I need 256 addresses, you can select this one. You need few more addresses 512, you can select this one. So it will say that it will calculate in the backend. If it is getting overlap, it will show you. Or else it will give you the desired IP. No, I want to create for 10.2.0 now, 3.0 I want to create. If you create 3.0, what it is saying, it's a not valid CIDR block because it is asking instead use this one or this one. This is what it is asking. So you can select based on that. You can utilize the suggestions provided, or you can take your own suggestion. It's up to you. Okay. So this way you can select your subnet size. And next, private subnet. If you want to make this subnet as private subnet, means along with this private subnet, all the things will be protected. All the routes will be protected. So if you don't want to create a private subnet and later I will implement network security groups and all, then you can uncheck this one. If you uncheck this one, if you see the root table and network security group, if you check mark this one, if you see the network security and root table, it is by defaultly creating one. It is by defaultly creating. When operating on a private subnet, certain functionalities such as Windows activation and host operating system updates may not be available without outbound access. To enable outbound connectivity, again, you need to select a network NAT gateway. Okay, or if you unselect this one, private one, so that you can handle inbound traffic and outbound traffic by default network security groups as well as with the root tables. I will explain you what is meant by the root table later. Okay, so this is about private subnet. The recommended approach is don't create a private subnet. You can manage your traffic by using network security groups. That's absolutely fine. And coming to the NAT gateway, if you want to implement a gateway protection for this subnet, you can use the NAT gateway, or else you can leave it as it is. Again, the gateway is the same purpose as I told you for the firewall and bastion. So if you want to create a NAT gateway, you can create a NAT gateway, that NAT gateway name, and it requires a public IP. You need to give the public IP. For example, this is the public IP. This is the address I want to give. And for the public IP, if you want to give, I have this, I selected the private one. If you want to select the public one, it will come as a public one. You need to select that IP address for this gateway so that the traffic coming to the security, this particular VNet or this particular subnet will be filtered using this gateway. If you want to select gateway, you can create a gateway. But many of the organizations, they won't prefer for the gateway. They will directly implement firewall or bastion from the VNet itself. And next, yes, I have a subnet. If you want to protect a subnet, what I told you, you need a network security group. So if you have an existing network security group, it will come here, or else you can create here itself, or you can create from the search. If you go for here, if you search for network security group, it will come as a network security group. There you will create, and that will be come as a drop down here. Or else you can create a network security group from here itself. Just provide the network security group name, and later you can modify it. You can add inbound rules and outbound rules. Similarly for root table, if you have a root table that will be pop up here, it is not allowing us to create from here. You need to come here and you need to create a root table. So Here you need to create a root table. That root table will come as a drop down here. Next, root table is nothing but it's a route to allow the request flow. For example, there is a traffic coming to this hub. Okay. Once the traffic comes to the hub and it needs to forward the request to the respective spoke. So for that it requires certain route. Okay. That route you need to define. For example, you have some any additional stuff needs to be processed before reaching to the spoke 6. So if you want to override the default behavior, then you need to specify the route table. So that request first comes to this address. After that, go to another address. After that, it will reach to this particular spoke 6. So if you want to design the route, that you can design under the route tables. And okay, now coming to the route table, as I explained you, if you want to route your traffic from dedicated endpoints or dedicated addresses, then you need to define the route table. There you need to define the hop addresses. Based on the hop addresses you define, it will route the traffic to the destination. If you want to create a route table, again, you need to go here and search for route table and you need to create a route table from there. Next point is service endpoint. What is meant by service endpoint? Service endpoint is nothing but it will establish a direct connection to the dedicated resources created under the subnet. For example, if you create a virtual machine under the subnet or app service under the subnet, then it will reach to that destination by using this dedicated endpoints. If you have a service endpoints created, then that will come in the drop down. Then you need to select that service endpoint. So with that service endpoint, it will route your traffic to the respective destination. I will show you the service endpoint, how it will be created. Okay, everything we will discuss. That comes under private endpoints. So that we will discuss. No issue. And next one is subnet delegation. For example, as I told you before, I'm going to create this subnet dedicatedly for virtual machines or dedicatedly for the app services or dedicatedly for the storage account. Yes, you can delegate this subnet to the respective resource. Okay, so here in the drop down, it will come as the Microsoft dot virtual machines or Microsoft dot storage accounts, Microsoft dot some app service or websites. Then it will come in the drop down. This I will show you while creating the subnet after creating this virtual network. Na? From the portal itself, I'll try to create a subnet. There I will show you these options. Okay. If you want to allow any network policy for the private endpoints which I have created here, that policy you can enable it. By default, one is recommended approach is better to prefer network security group, or else you can keep it as a disabled. Anyway, this subnet is associated with network security group as well as root table. It will consider both ones. No, I don't want to utilize the network root table. I want to prefer only network security group. Then you can give only network security group here and you can keep root table as a none, or else you can come here, you can select only network security group so that it will prefer only network security group. Okay, by default one is you can disable it. That's it. You have created one virtual network and you are creating one default subnet and you are creating one firewall subnet for firewall and and creating one separate subnet which for resources or anything. Simply click on next. And again, I told you tags are nothing but your identity purpose. You can add your own tags and just click on next and just click on review and create. It will try to create resources. Okay, this way you can review it. So where you are creating and what resource group you are creating, what name you are giving, and which reason you are giving. If you are enabling firewall, that comes here. If you remember, if you want to create the firewall later also, you can create it. If you want to create only virtual network with one default subnet, yes, you can create it. And later, if you want, you can create a firewall, you can create a bastion, or you can create anything inside the virtual network. So I selected all this stuff and just I'm creating. If you click on create, it will start creating. After a while, it will create the VNet. Okay, so this way it starts creating. Anyway, this firewall is going to create. So the virtual network is already created. So let's go for this virtual network. If you click on here, it will route you to the virtual network. Or else, if you click on home and again search for virtual network. So click on virtual networks, it will show you the created one. So if you click on here, you will see the virtual network created with this address space. Okay, so this way a VNet can be created with all the required resources. If you go to the subnets, you can see the desired subnets which we selected. Okay, so if you search for firewall, it will show you the firewall created. Okay, so if there is any peerings or if there is any service endpoint selected or privacy endpoints created, then it will show you all this stuff. If you want, you can create after creation of virtual network also. For example, I want to add a new subnet. Just come here, click on new subnet, you can create it. If you want to create a gateway subnet, you can create it. Just verify your address space and everything is created. That's it. Good morning, everyone. So today we'll see how VNet will be created and how peerings and everything will be done. We'll see that. So if you want to create a VNet, first you must have a resource group. First of all, you need to create a resource group. So I will create a resource group here. So you can give the resource group name and the location you can choose. The tags, if you want anything, you can specify that we discussed in previous. And then you just create a resource group. And within that resource group, you need to create a VNet. Now search for virtual networks. Come here and you just need to select the respective resource group and the VNet name you can give. So for now, I'm creating one hub VNet, just naming as hub VNet. And click on next. I don't want to go for any other things. I need a firewall, but that I will create later. I already show you how we can create a firewall along with the virtual network. For now, I'm creating one plain VNet. Just click on next. Here I need to choose the respective address space for my VNet. So this I'm going to choose as a 60. So along with this address space, I'm creating one default subnet. So if you want, you can create multiple subnets while creating the VNet also, or you can create later also. It's absolutely fine. And click on next. And if you want to specify any tags that who created this VNet, what is the purpose and for which environment, you can specify all the tags here. And then next, and then review. It will validate for a while. So if you have a policy specified, so it will validate everything. If it looks good, then it will ask you to create. Just click on create. It will take a while and it will create a VNet. Okay, so now the resource is getting created. So if you simply go to the resource or if you come to the home and go for virtual networks, here you can see the virtual network created. Okay, so this is the virtual network. So if you want to go for explanation of this virtual network, the first one is overview. What is meant by overview? This overview contains the basic information of the virtual network and which resource group it was there and which location it was there and which subscription it was there. What is the subscription ID? And what is the address space it has? And if it is configured with any DNS servers, what is the DNS servers it has? Okay, all these things, basically the network ID and anything related to the essential part that will be there in the overview tab. The next one is here we have one more thing that is called move, but don't move. Don't move your VNet to another resource group. Don't move your VNet to another subscription or another region. Because if it is empty one, so like just now we created and we haven't utilized this VNet, then it's absolutely fine. You can move it. But once any resource is created, any subnet is created under it, and any resource assigned one IP from that subnet, don't move it anywhere. Okay, it's a recommended approach. Next one is activity log. The activity log is nothing but if you perform anything on Azure portal for this device, for example, I have this virtual network, I have this hub VNet. Whoever performed any activity on this hub VNet on Azure portal, that will be recorded here. Please make a note of it because in your environment also don't do any changes on the network any resource in Azure. If you do any changes now, that will be recorded here. If you see here, I created or I updated the virtual network. If you see the name, okay, how much time I took, what is the time I made the change, and it will show you the change also, what change I made, everything, change history. So better whenever you are making any changes, keep note of it, and if it is required and if it is approved, then only you come to the portal and you made the change. Okay, it will record everything, who made any changes in hub VNet, right? Those changes will be recorded in the activity log. The next one is access control. The access control, that part we will discuss later as part of Active Directory. The access control is nothing but if you want to provide anyone access on this hub VNet, that access will be provided on access control part. This is called IAM, Identity and Access Management. Altogether, this is a separate topic. This we will discuss. Okay, if you want to provide access to the people, how you can provide access on this particular resource, that we will discuss. Next one is tags part. So if you want to note any tags or if you want to write any tags for your identification purpose, for recognition purpose later, that tags you can add it here. Next one is diagnose and solve problems. For example, you have a virtual network, and if you feel that everything right from your end, and if somebody wants to review and Microsoft wants to review, that review will be done with the help of this diagnose and solve problem. From the back end, the Azure itself, it will try to diagnose if there is any issue, and it will show you that this is the issue and this is the recommended solution. Okay, all the things will be shown under diagnose and solve problems. If you have any issue faced on the any resource, not only virtual network, just go to that resource. In that resource, you have a topic called diagnose and solve problems. If you click on that, it will show you all these things. What are the changes it has made from the last 3 days? Is there any issues we have? If there is any known issues or currently it is facing any issues, all the things will be showed here. If it is an issue, if you click on it, it will show you the resolution also. That is about diagnose and solve problems. Next part is settings part. Here we have the major configuration, that is address space. The address space related to this virtual network. If you see, this is the address space. It is allowed to make the change, but don't change it. Don't change it. So before creating any virtual network, you have to decide what kind of IP addresses I required. Based on that, you can design your VNet, and accordingly you need to go on. Don't try to change this address space. If it is empty one, it's absolutely fine, but otherwise it will be problem. I'll tell you how it is a problem. For example, there is a number range 1 to 100. If it is you are the only person utilizing it, then it's absolutely fine. So for example, you have numbers choose 1 to 100, it's absolutely fine. But if you want to increase these numbers from 1 to 110, okay, the 10 numbers must be available. You're not the only person, right? You created one VNet with a range of 1 to 100, and some people come and they created range from 101 to 200. So in this scenario, if you are trying to increase your VNet size, okay, if you are going to increase your VNet size from 1 to 110, it will not be possible, because this 101 to 200 is already created by someone. This will overlap. So that is the reason you are not the only guy to create the VNet in your subscription. So that is the reason before creating any resource, you have to calculate what is your present use case, what is your future use case. By keeping all these things in mind, you have to design your VNet. Okay, if it is available, it's good. But if somebody is already created, but it will not allow you to increase it. So that you need to keep it in mind. So that is the reason before selecting any virtual network, before planning your network, you have to plan the IP addresses accordingly. So that's it. And next one, this is about address space. And you can see the peered virtual network address spaces here. I will show you after discussing about the peering how those will appear here. The next one is connected device. If your virtual network is connected to any subnet or any resource, for example, you have created one resource virtual machine under the subnet, that virtual machine network interface card will be showed here. Altogether, I mean to say, wherever you are utilizing this virtual network, that devices will be showed here. Okay, as of now, it's empty virtual network. We are not using any device. That is the reason it is showing empty. If you create any virtual machine or anything, that will be showed here. The next one is subnets part. So if you want to create any subnet from the VNet, that will be created under this subnets part. We have a default subnet with a IP address of 251. So if you want to create a new subnet, click on the subnet. Here again, it will show you the purpose. For what purpose you are creating the subnet? You are creating the subnet for fiber purpose or Bastion purpose, for gateway purpose, or any virtual network appliance purpose, or for plain purpose for resource creation. If it is for resource creation, it is for any specific purpose, purpose. If you select the default one, then it's absolutely fine. And next one is name. You need to give the name for the subnet. For example, I'm going to create this name as test subnet. Okay, whatever the name you are going to do, you can give. But in your organization, if they follow any naming syntax, you can follow that syntax. Next, that is IPv4 address space. As of now, the VNet I created is IPv4 address space. That is the reason the IPv4 address space coming here. And it is showing the subnet. For the subnet, it is showing the starting address, or it is suggesting few things. So by default, it is suggesting you can go for 10.0.1.0 with /24. You are getting 256 address. No, I need more address. If you come down in the drop down, it will show you. If you need 500, you can select /23. Okay, if you need more, you can select 22, 1024 addresses you will get. It will show you what is the starting IP address. It will show you what is the ending IP address. So based on that, you can select the respective subnet. Okay, and if you want to allocate this subnet as a private subnet, then if you click on this one, automatically what are the routes or what are the ports open to the subnet will be blocked, will be closed. Everything will be closed if you select as a private subnet. But if you want to keep the things within your subnet and we don't want to access anything on the subnet from outside, then you can select as private subnet, or else you can control it by using network security group rules also. Not only here, you can control from there as well. And then one security part. If you want to utilize this subnet for any gateway, if you have a gateway created, then you can assign this subnet to that gateway. Okay. Or if you have a network security group, yes, you can assign that network security group from here itself. Or if you have a root table, yes, you can assign that root table from here itself. This particular network security group, this particular root table will be applicable for this subnet only. For this subnet only. And if you want to create any private endpoint or any dedicated endpoints, yes, that you can select here. If you see here, while creating the VNet, these service endpoints will not come. But once the VNet is created, then the service endpoints came here. For example, you are creating this subnet only for virtual machines, only to host virtual machines. Yes, you come here, you can select Microsoft Web or Microsoft Compute. You have somewhere uh, compute will come. It's not coming. So you have to select that one so that this will be dedicatedly assigned for this that particular virtual machine. Or I want to keep this dedicatedly the subnet for SQL Server. You can choose Microsoft.SQL so that it will dedicatedly assign the subnet for SQL parts. If you want to keep that subnet dedicated for storage, yes, you can select the endpoint as a storage. Okay, or it is for app services and web apps, then you can use Microsoft.web app. So it's absolutely fine. How many services endpoint you can select? You can select it. So that meaning is you need to adhere or you need to set that subnet to utilize these services only. Next one is delegation. Similarly, kind of this. If you want to delegate this subnet to a specific one, for example, app service, for example, storage, for example, any private clouds or DB clusters or VMware, anything dedicatedly, if you want to host it, yes, you can host it. As I've told you here, if I select web, that is coming web related stuff. Or if you are not selecting anything, you will get all the delegations here. So if you want to select virtual machines, if you want to select network, or if you want to select SQL, storage, web, anything will come here. So you have, if you want to select the subnet for Synapse, you can select Synapse. So you have to delegate your subnet so that it will understand that okay, this subnet is designed for this particular delegation. So it is fine to create that particular resources under that. That is about subnet delegation. And if you want to create any network policy, for example, here the network policy we are utilizing network security group as well as root table. I want to utilize both or I want to utilize only network security group, that you can decide under here. If you disable by defaultly, anyway these two are added here, so it will pick the network security group from here, it will pick the root table from here. If you want to control, you can control from here itself. So this way you can add your subnet, you can create your new subnet. Okay, so this way we can create your respective subnet. Next one is Bastion. If you want to create or if you want to utilize this VNet for a Bastion purpose, you can create it here itself. As I told you before, if you want, you can create this Bastion from while creating the VNet itself, or you can create later also. Okay, if you want, you can deploy the Bastion, or if you want, you can configure manually so that it will ask you which subnet you want to create or which IP address you want to choose. What I showed you while creating the virtual network, if you click on configure manually, it will ask you the same options. Okay, which virtual network you want to keep it, what IP address you are going to use. It's a public IP address. We are going to create the new public IP address and all. What are the options you see while creating the VNet? The same options will come here. If you click on the deploy bastion, then it will take all the things by default. Okay, so once this bastion is deployed, the purpose of this bastion is it's kind of a gateway. So with the help of this bastion, you can create or you can connect the servers. You can connect the servers. This I will show you while creating the virtual machine, how we will create a virtual machine, how we will create a bastion, how we can connect the virtual machine by using the bastion. That I will discuss while we are discussing about the virtual machines one. Next one is distributed denial of service or this protection. If you want to enable, you can enable it, or if you want to disable, you can disable it. Okay, if you want to enable it, you must have a plan, or else you can disable it. Anyway, you can disable it because this VNets will be protected by the firewalls. We have a dedicated firewalls. That firewalls will be protected. So if you want to create a firewall, you can create from here itself, like I showed you from the virtual network creation. And the next and important topic is Microsoft Defender for Cloud. So what is meant by Microsoft Defender for Cloud? So just remember that it's a kind of scanning one. It's kind of vulnerability detector. So in Azure by default, what it will do, what is the purpose of this Microsoft Defender for Cloud is it's kind of an antivirus or it's kind of a trigger mechanism. It will keep an eye or it will watch all your resources, whatever you created under your Azure. It could be VNet, where it could be virtual machine, it could be storage or app service or blah blah blah. Anything if you create, it will keep an eye. It will keep an eye. Anything you created suspicious, anything there might be an attack, anything there might be an issue, it will identify and it will show you. It will give you the recommendation. Whatever the virtual network you have created, there was an issue. Try to fix that issue. So this is the recommendation I'm giving. So all these parts it will show you. That is about Microsoft Defender for Cloud. So we have a dedicated topic for this. We will discuss each and every topic when we are discussing about Microsoft Defender for Cloud. So it is altogether it's a different topic. If you want to click Microsoft Defender for Cloud from this VNet, it will show you the recommendations related to this VNet only. Or if you go for Microsoft Defender for Cloud from uh, altogether a separate topic. So if you go here, it will show you recommendations for all your resources across your subscriptions, all your resources. No, I want to see the issues or any vulnerabilities related to the my particular network only or my particular resources only. Just go to that resource. Here you have Microsoft Defender for Cloud. So if you click on it, it will show you the recommendations or any vulnerabilities related to this particular network only. Next one is network manager. If you have an additional networks and if you want to configure any P2C or any additional devices to your hub network, then that you can configure under this network manager part. Okay, so by default, it was not required. Anyway, we are using the peering concepts. If you have on-premises environments and if you have it, other tools, other virtual networks you want to integrate with, in that scenario, you will use this network manager. The next one is DNS server. If you want to use the default DNS servers provided by the Microsoft, then you can use the default one. No, I have a default DNS server. For example, you have xyz.org or something gov or something .com, anything. If you want, you can use your own DNS server. Organizations will use their own DNS server. For example, for Flipkart, they will use their own DNS server called flipkart.com, like that. So if you have DNS servers already there, you have to add that DNS servers here. So for the DNS servers, at the moment, it is accepting only IP address, not fully qualified domain name. If you have any DNS servers, that DNS server IP address, you need to add it here so that your DNS will be resolved from the name will be resolved from that IP address. Okay, this again is a different topic. We have a private DNS zone and public DNS zone. Two concepts are there. These topics we will discuss going forward. The private DNS zone concept, how the DNS will be created within Azure, how it will be utilized, how it will be resolved. All these things will be discussed. The next part is peering. So what is meant by peering? Peering, I already discussed you, right? If you want to communicate any resources from one virtual network to another virtual network, then you must do a peering. So if you want to do a peering, you must have another VNet. So at the moment, I created only one virtual network. So to create a peering, I must create one more virtual network that I will create now. So again, I'll select the respective resource group. Again, I'll select the virtual network name is spoke one. And now the reason I'm choosing different one. Okay, I'm because I want to keep the virtual network in different regions. I want to attach them. So that is my motto. So I created one spoke and I kept it is in a central US. And click on next. And I don't want to use any other options. And I want to go for IP address. So if you use 10.0.0.16, it will allow. It will allow because this particular one you are creating in one region and another 1 to 100 they are creating in another region. Okay, but if you are using this region separately, it will work. If you are using region separately, it will work. But when you try to integrate or when you try to connect this VNet with this VNet, it will not work because you also having same IP address. I also having same IP address. If from this 1 to 100, I want to connect number 50, the 50 is reside in my network also, and that 50 is reside on your network also. Where I need to go? It will be problem. So that is the reason if you want to peer your networks and make sure that these IP address cannot be collide or these IP address cannot be overwrite. So that is the way you need to select your VNets. Altogether, it's a different company or different thing. Yes, it is allowed because every company has own mechanism and they won't resolve publicly. But here, if you want to club two virtual networks, then these numbers must be, this IP address must be different. Must not be the same or must not be collide. So now what I did, if I select the same one, if you want, I will show you the same example. I am here also I'm creating the same one. Then if you simply go for review and simply go for create. So it will take a minute and it will create the VNet. Okay, your VNet is created now. So sub VNet is created. So if you go here, the spoke one is created. Now, if I go to any of the VNet and if I try to peer, I'm going to do the peering here. So click on add. Here you need to give the peering name. For example, I'm giving it as hub to spoke 1. That means it indicates that my hub to spoke 1 peering is there. So I'm using the deployment model is resource manager only. It's an old deployment that is classic one. You can ignore about it. You can always choose resource manager. Okay, next. You know what is the spoke you are going to integrate with. If you know resource ID, then you can enter the resource ID. I will show you how you will get the resource ID. So if you want to get the resource ID, just go to your any resource. For resource ID, you need to go to any resource, go to overview, click on JSON view in the top right side, click on JSON view. Here you will get the resource ID. This is your resource ID. So if you want, you can copy this resource ID. There is a button here. You can copy it. Okay. Now go to the peerings. Here add the peering and I'm giving the name as hub to spoke 1. So this is my peering I'm going to do. And here, if you know the resource ID, copy and paste it here. The destination one, what you are going to peering. From hub, I'm going to peering spoke. So I need to add the spoke details here. So if you know, it's fine. If you don't know, this it will show you the subscription, under which subscription, under which virtual network you are going to peer with. My current network is Hub VNet, and I'm going to peer with the spoke one. So I need to select spoke. If you select the spoke, what it is saying? Address space 10.0.0/16 overlaps with address space of the virtual network. With overlapping address space cannot be peered. If you intend to peer this virtual network, change the address space. This address space of the spoke you need to change. So that is the reason you need to make sure if you are creating multi virtual networks, then make sure that those virtual network address spaces will not be collide. So this is the major thing. Now I'll keep this one as it is. I'll try to create one more virtual network. This is example spoke 2. So here the reason I have selected as something called South Central US. Click on next. Click on next. In the IP address part, I will select the IP address is 10.1.0.0/16. The first two digits will constant, last two digits will vary, and this many IP address will get. And this I will review and I'll create it. Okay, your spoke 2 is ready now. So now if you go to the home and if you go to the virtual network, you have a spoke 2. Now if I go to the Hub VNet, now if I go to the peerings part, okay, if I go to the peerings now I try to add the peering. Okay, the peering link I can give it as hub to spoke 2 and the same I will select the VNet as spoke 2. Now it won't be any error. Next, the second thing is next part remote virtual network peering setting. Okay, local virtual peering settings. There are two kind of settings were there. What is meant by this remote and what is meant by this local is nothing but you are trying to establish a connection between hub to spoke 2 virtual network from hub VNet to spoke 2 virtual network. So how you are controlling them means you want to allow resources from here to here or here to here or both the places. I am allowing, for example, I have this virtual network, I have one more virtual network. So you want to establish a connection to only one way. That means from only here to here. Or you want to establish connection from one way like this only. From this virtual VNet only, I'm going to establish a connection to here. Or I want to establish a connection to both way. From this way as well as this way. So both connection if you want to establish, yes, both you can establish. That is about local and remote. These two. So similarly, if you go here, allow spoke to access hub VNet. Yes, I want to allow spoke to receive forward traffic from hub VNet only. That means if you want to receive traffic from hub, initially the request coming to the hub, and for example, this is your internet, this is your hub, and this is your spoke 2. What it means, you want me to allow whatever the traffic coming from somewhere to hub if it if this hub forwards that traffic to the spoke. Do you want me to allow? Or only the traffic must be originated or traffic only initiated from hub, then only you want me allow. This options it is asking. It is fine if you forward the traffic, whatever you are receiving to the hub, that same traffic if you forward to the spoke, I'm also fine. So in that scenario, it is asking allow spoke to receive forwarded traffic from hub VNet. Yes, you need to keep this select these two. First one is to access the resources from hub VNet to spoke to, and second one is not only from hub VNet. If someone requested spoke to, then that request first comes to the hub, and then it must forward that request to the spoke to. Then you want me to allow. Yes. Next one is allow gateway or root server in spoke to forward traffic to the hub VNet. This is a different thing in a reverse way. In a reverse way. But anyway, I don't want to keep gateways or VPNs in the spoke to, so I don't want to enable this. So I'm keeping gateways and all these VPNs and bastions in hub only. So from hub, if you receive the traffic, then it's fine. But I don't want to do the reverse mechanism here. That's why you need to keep these two as it is. And next one is coming to the peering name. It is the local peering name, hub to spoke to. It is showing under hub. Here it will show you in the local, that is spoke to hub. Spoke to hub reverse. Okay. If you see the peering name when you enter into the hub VNet, it will show you hub to VNet. If you go to the local another spoke to subnet, it will show you the name as spoke to hub to. For example, I can say you have a two servers or you have a two places. If you have one, you are into the one, and the name it will show you as 1 to 2. If you are logged into the two, the name it will show you as 2 to 1. This is the difference. If you are logged into the one, the name it will show you is connection is from 1 to 2. Or if you are logged into the two, the connection name it is showing as 2 to 1. This is the difference. Okay, that is the name. Same both options you need to select and click on add. So that the both peerings from both the places, it will add. It will store, it will add it on the hub VNet as well as it will add it on the spoke to VNet also. Yeah, both are added. If you see here, if you go to the hub, it is showing this one. Or again, if you go to the spoke to, we haven't do anything here. But still, if you come to the peering, you can see the peering. Okay, so this is the difference. Actually, the names I mistakenly placing. If you see here, it is hub to spoke to, but if it is go for hub VNet, it is spoke to hub. The reverse I have given the names. No issue, you can alter it. Okay, so this way you can add your peerings. Okay, so this way we can create the peering. Now, anyway, it's not a regular activity. It comes once, it's a one-time activity. But the reason to learn, the reason to aware about these peerings is on a regular basis, you will have some issues. You will report some issues. That issue is, for example, I have one VNet here. I have one VNet here, that is VNet 1. And I have one server placed here. I have one server placed here. For example, that server name is VM1. Now, I have one more VNet here. And in this VNet, I have one more server. In this server, the name is VM2. Now, you must have one complaint received that, okay, from the VM2, I'm not able to access VM1. Could you please check? Somebody asked you. So in that scenario, the first and blind rule, what you need to do, okay, what is the VM he is connecting? What is the VM from the which VM he is trying to connect? What is the source? So this is the source VM. From this, he is want to connect. What is the destination VM? This VM he want to connect. So for the first blind point you need to check is how it can check if you want to access VM2 from VM1 or VM1 from VM2. First, altogether, this is a different VNet. This is a different VNet. The peering must be established. This first check you need to do. Okay, the peering is established or not? Yes, peering is established. Next, this particular VM must be reside under one network security group, under one subnet. Okay, this is also reside under one subnet and one network security group. So next part is that particular VM2 which is trying to access VM1. This particular subnet or this particular VM IP is added under this network security group rule or not. This is the second check you need to do. So this, if you want to do or if you want to do the troubleshooting, you must aware of what is meant by network security group, how it could be, what is meant by peering, how it could be done, what is the purpose of that peering, what is the purpose of this network security group. So all these things you need to learn. Fine. So this way you can do your peering. So likewise, you can peer with any networks. So if you have one more VNet created, you come to your hub and you try to peer with that particular network. Okay, like that you can do any number of peerings. Next one is service endpoint. I already show you. If this particular VNet is dedicatedly designed, particular subnet under this VNet is dedicatedly designed for any service endpoints, that you can select it with subnet. and what is the service endpoint you are going to dedicate this one. That you can add under this endpoints section, service endpoint section. And the same for private endpoints also. This private endpoint is very important. This part we will discuss during DNS part, or else I will discuss this as a different topic, because this private endpoint is very important, that I will discuss. And next one is properties. Properties will show you the basic information about again the hub VNet. What is the name? What is the location? Resource group, subscription, resource ID. So all these things it will show you under this properties part. If you want to establish a lock, someone wants to delete this sub VNet, you are not allowing them to delete. So if you want to establish a lock, you can establish a lock. This lock can be established on a resource level or resource group level or subscription level. If you establish a lock under subscription, so everything under the subscription will be locked. You are not allowed to delete. Same, if you allow the lock on the resource group level, everything under that resource group will be locked. You are not allowed to delete them. If you want to implement the lock, you can implement the lock on the resource level also. You can simply click on lock, just give the lock name. The lock type is delete. That means it will not be delete. If your lock type is read only, no one can read. No one can read this. That's it. That's the lock type. We ignore about this lock type. That's about this. The next one is monitoring part. This monitoring part I will discuss once the monitoring is completed. Then you will get to know what is meant by this monitoring. This monitoring is similar for all the resources, not only for the VNet. It is for VM, app service, storage, everything. The monitoring will be remains same. This monitoring part and the automation part and the help part. These three parts we will discuss later. Okay, so these three will be common for every resource. Okay, so now we will discuss about network security group. So what is meant by network security group? So here I created one subnet, but I have not assigned any network security group hit. How I can create it? How I can assign it? That we will show you. For example, there is a network security group. If you want to search for network security group, search for network security group or NSG. You'll see like this. Click on the network security group. Okay, you got the network security group. Now just create the network security group. Okay, the subscription and the resource group where you are going to keep your network security group. Just name called test-NSG. The name you can give it, and the location, which location you are going to create the network security group, and just create the network security group. Okay, so it will create a network security group. So make sure that one more important point is the network security group and everything must be region specific. The VNet is also region specific. For example, the VNet is located under East US, then the network security group must be created under East US only. Okay, and the resources, everything will be created under this region only, because the network is designed under this particular region. So whatever the resources you are going to create, those you can create under this region only. Make sure that. Next, yes, your NSG is created. So I'm going to the network security group here. So yes, if you go to the network security group here, you can see the overview. Same again, essential. What are the resource group you have, location, subscription, and any security rules, how many security rules it has, how many inbound rules it has, how many outbound rules it has, how many subnets it is associated with, how many network interfaces it is associated with. Okay, it is showing. So if you observe here, these are the default inbound rules, default outbound rules. If you want to edit them, you have a concept here. You have a possible option here. Again, if you see the overview, overall it will show you like this. Again, the same activity log. Activity log is meant for if anyone made any changes on this network security group, that person name will be recorded here along with that change. And if you want to provide access to this network security group, that you can provide under this access control and tags and diagnose and solve problems. If there is any issues on this network security group, that will be listed here. And next one is important one is settings. Come to the inbound security rules. Here you need to add the inbound rules. If you see the symbol here, the arrow symbol here, inbound means the traffic coming. If you see the arrow symbol for outbound, it is traffic going. Okay. If you come to the inbound rules, what traffic I want to allow. So if you see the priority here, the priority means first come, first serve. Or for example, if you have a numbers 1 to 100, 1, 2, 3, 100 like this, which rule will be executed? The number least priority will be executed first. And once rule number 1 is executed, then it will go for rule number 2. Once rule number 2 is executed, then it will go for rule number 3. Once rule number 3 is executed, if no other numbers are present, it will try to execute rule number 100. So like that, the priority will be there. Okay. here they are giving the highest priorities. This will be executed last. So you can create your own rule. So I'm creating one inbound security rule. So what kind of source you are going to allow? So I said inbound rule from where you are going to allow. For example, any means from anywhere it will allow. No, 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 I don't want to allow from anywhere. I have a dedicated IP address. From that IP address only I want to allow. Yes, give me the IP address. So from this IP address only I want to allow. So give me the IP address. Or I want to allow from all the subnet. Give me the subnet IP. Okay, that subnet IP or the subnet range or individual ranges you need to add here. And next, the source port. Which port you are going to connect? You have the IP address, that's absolutely fine. But which port you are going to connect? Okay, so there is a concept of port in computer world. What is meant by the port? Okay, for example, if you see this is the device, if you see this is the device, and you have certain services. You have certain services. The service is called HTTP, HTTPS, DNS, ICMP, and SQL, and SSH, and FTP, and FTPS, and what else I missed? LDAP. So basically, in computer world, everything has a dedicated service. For example, if you want to transport one particular thing from one place to another place, you need to use transport mechanism. Transport mechanism. The transport layers are we have HTTP and HTTPS. That is hypertext transfer protocol, hypertext transfer protocol with security. Or if you want to connect any device, for that you need to use connectivity mechanisms. Those are called RDP or SSH. Okay, so RDP is nothing but remote desktop protocol. This will be used to connect Windows servers, and SSH is secured shell. This will be utilized to connect with Linux based environments. Okay, and if you want to access DNS part, the DNS will be communicated with DNS service very particularly. If you want to ping or anything, that ping will be working on this ICMP service. If you want to share your files or anything, that will work under FTP service. So if you want to access SQL or anything, that will access under SQL part. Altogether, I mean to say, for this device, if any traffic trying to enter, it will not be under single gate. It will not be under single gate. Okay. For every service, there is a dedicated gate. There is a dedicated gate. With whatever the request it is coming for dedicated service, it must be coming from that gate only. Then only it will accept it. Otherwise, it will not accept it. So these are the gates. For example, if I want to do SSH to the server, it must be the SSH request must be coming through this gate only. I'm not allowing this SSH request from any other gates. If there is any FTP request, I need to allow that FTP request from this gate only, not from any other gates. Or if there is any HTTP request coming or going, I must allow that from this gate only, not from any other gates. So these gates are nothing but ports. Ports. These are very important. For everything, there is a dedicated port in computer world. For HTTP, the port number is 80. For HTTPS, the port number is 443. And for DNS, the port number is 51, I guess. And ICMP, we have a dedicated port. SQL, the port number is 1433. SSH, the port number is 22. FTP, the port number is 21. And again, FTPS, the port number is 22. LDAP, the port number is 388 or 389. So there are dedicated ports available. With these port numbers only, it will allow the connections. This is about ports. We'll get back to the main topic. So here, which port I want to allow? If you want to allow only port number 443, or if you want to allow port number 80, or if you want to allow comma specific also, it will be acceptable. Okay, I want to allow these both. No, if you want to allow range also, that will be allow. 80 to 443. All the ports, 81, 82, 83, 84. If there is any dedicated services working on that, everything will be allowed. Okay, it's up to you. If you want to allow all the ports, you can keep it as a star. Next, destination. This is about source part. Coming to the destination. So within this particular VNet or within this particular subnet, the destination, if you want to allow only virtual machine, yes, you can specify destination as this virtual machine IP. Altogether, this subnet consists of multiple resources. Multiple resources. Like I have virtual machine inside it, I have app service inside it, I have storage account inside it, I have some XYZ load balancer or anything inside it. You want me to allow, if the connection is coming from this source, you want me to allow to the destination of only VM1 or only storage or only app service or only load balancer or any device inside the subnet, that you need to define. Okay, the destination, if it is IP address, yes, give me the destination IP address. Okay, it is about IP to IP and same destination port also, which port I want to allow or which port I want to uh, deny. For example, I'm as of now I'm creating the allow rule. So which port I want to allow? For example, all the ports I can keep all. Now the protocol, if you observe here, any protocol or TCP is dedicated ports, UDP dedicated ports, ICMP dedicated ports. If you select TCP, you will get the service. If you see the service, here we have the HTTP, the port number is 80. If it is HTTPS, the port number is 443. If it is SSH, the port number is 22. If it is RTP, the port number is 3389. If it is SQL, the port number is 1433. Okay, like that we have a dedicated services. If it is a DNS, the port number is 53. Yes. If it is IMAP or LDAP, then port number is 389. Like that, we have a dedicated service. If you want to allow the service wise, yes, you can allow it. Or if you want to keep it as a custom, you can keep it as a custom. Then it will allow any number of ports. You can keep it as any. That's where you can add your source and destination IP addresses. Here there is an action you want to allow or you want to deny, and then you need to specify the priority, and then the name, and then description, the reason for this rule, everything. The next and important part is, as of now, I discussed about IP to IP, source IP address to the destination IP address. What if I want to block for domain name? Yes, that is also you can there. Source IP address. My IP address means your IP address is your source. Then if you want to specify any domain name, you have to come to the service tag. Click on service tag. Here, the source is internet. From internet, you want to allow the traffic, or from a specific virtual network, you want to allow the traffic, or a load balancer, you want to allow the traffic. You have to specify them. For example, internet, okay, the source port, which source port I want to allow, or from virtual network, which virtual network, any virtual network that you can give it. Okay, so any virtual network, I mean to say, this virtual network range you need to define. Okay, and destination IP address, I want to again go for service tag for internet or any specific virtual network or anything, that you need to define here the same part, which port I want to allow, the same action, which action I want to do, allow or deny, and priority I need to define, and a name I need to define, and description I need to define. Make sure that the priority, if you have the same priority, both rules will be executed in the same, or you need to define the priority in the sequence. So if you define the same priority, it will show you some error. If you see 65,000, okay, so it was already there, right? 4096 it is allowing maximum. So I created for 100 and I'll create it for 110, 150. The sequence you can say. The first rule it will execute, and then it will go for next one, and then it will go for next one, and then it will go for next one. So like that, you need to define your rule, inbound rule. Similarly for outbound rule, same concept, same source you need to define, port you need to define, destination you need to define, the service, which service you are going to allow or deny, or all the services, the port numbers you can define, and then priority. This priority is applicable for this outbound rule only. Here also you can give 100. So if you give 100, if it is outbound rule, first it will execute this 100 ones. If it is inbound rule, it will execute 100 and that inbound rule. Okay, same name you have to give and description you have to give. So this way you need to add your inbound rules and outbound rules. And once this inbound rules, outbound rules are completed, we have a network interfaces we can directly assign to the network security group. Network interfaces are nothing but virtual machines. For virtual machines, we have a network card, network interface card. That network interface means that virtual machine, if you want to assign network security group, that you can assign directly, or else that particular virtual machine will be reside under one subnet. Anyway, that subnet will be associated to the network security group. That is also fine. So if you consider the same scenario here, this particular VM, if you want, for example, I don't want to assign a network security group for my subnet, but I want to use network security group only for my VM. Then yes, that you can do by using network interface card. Okay, so when you are creating virtual machine, one network interface also created. If you want to assign that network interface, you can associate it to this network security group. So you come to the network security group, you search for associate, it will give you the available network interfaces. If you have any available network interface, just select it so that it will be associated to this network security group. This inbound and security outbound rules will be applicable for that network interface VM. And next, subnets. So if you want to assign this particular network security group to any number of subnets, that you can assign from here. You come to the subnets part. I don't have any subnets associated here. If you want to associate, click on associate. It will show you what virtual network and what subnet I want to assign it. So I want to assign this network security group to this test subnet. It will come here. If you see here, I have created three sub virtual networks, but it is showing only one virtual network. The reason is location. So that whatever the network security group you are creating, that location it will search for the virtual network, that particular location virtual network only available. You need to select that one. You need to select that test subnet, click on OK. So that this particular network security group will be associated to that particular subnet. Now, if you go to the VNets and if you go to the subnets, there you can see the network security group is assigned test-NSG. Okay, so this way you can create your network security group and you can assign it to any number of subnets. But the only condition is the region. So whatever the region, the VNet you created, under that region, under that subnets only, you can associate this network security group. One network security group can be associated to any number of subnets. Any number of subnets. That you can keep it in mind. But while assigning one's network security group to the multiple subnet, please keep a mind about inbound security rules and outbound security rules. Here you must not add any VM specific IPs. You must have the subnet specific IPs, then it's absolutely fine. Now, this is about NSG. So this way you can associate your NSG to the subnets. And next part is root table. So we left with root table. Go to the root table. Similarly, the way how you created NSG, you can create a root table also. So click on create root table and just provide the resource group name where you are going to create, the reason you want to create, and the name you are going to create. Let's suppose test RT root table I'm going to create. So propagate gateway routes. Yes, if there is any gateway, so it has to propagate. Or else, if you don't want to propagate the gateway routes, you can click on no. For now, I'm creating yes. Click on next and click on review and create. So it will take bit minute and it will create one root table. Okay, so root table is created. Now go to the created root tables. Okay, this is the root table it has created. If you see here, I don't have any roots created. I don't have any subnets associated. Okay, now it is showing the same zero subnet associations. So if you same again activity log, whoever made any change, it will show here. And access control, if you want to provide any access, or if you want to add any tags, or if you have any issues, you can see it under diagnose and solve problems. This is the main part. If you come to the configuration, here you can see propagate gateway routes. For now, I kept it as yes. And if you come to the roots, I don't have any roots available. Now I need to establish a route. What is the route name? For example, internet route. I'm going to take the internet. What is the destination? If it is a destination IP address, yes, what is the destination IP address you are going to give? Anything you can give. Hop type. It is a virtual network, or it is an internet, or it is a virtual appliance, or none. So you can route your traffic to the respective place. For example, I have a request coming from here, then it is paying to here, then I need to add a route table, or I need to design one user defined route so that based on that route it will reach to this VM. So I come to this VM, I come to this place. Now I will add one route with this VNet name, and then I will add one more route with the subnet name. Then I will add one more route with some other validations or anything. And then I will add this VM name. These are called hop addresses. It's all about how you can route your traffic to the respective destination. So this is about routing. This way you can route it. Here you can define this is a VNet 1 or VNet 2 or VNet 3. So you come to first here and then you come to first here and then you come to here and then you will reach out to here. So this route you are defining. If you have a custom routes, you have many devices in the place, you need to define how the traffic needs to be routed to reach your destination. Okay, so that it is asking about. You have the virtual network gateway, you can keep it as a virtual network gateway and click on add it. So that the first request it is coming to the virtual network gateway. And next, you can add the root name, anything, any root name you can add it, and the destination is IP address. And what is the destination IP address? So once it is reached to this IP address, from this, which IP address I want to reach? Okay, so that's example. If it is reached to 10.0.0.16, that is the sub VNet IP, then I want to reach this subnet. This subnet I want to reach it. Again, this is also comes under virtual network. This part I want to reach it. So what it means, the first request will be landed on this. After that, it will go to this one. After that, if you want to define anything, you can define that. Like that, you can add any number of routes. And once you added your routes, if you want to apply this particular route table to any subnet, you come to the subnets, come to associate. Similarly, you have to select the respective virtual network. You have to select respect to subnet. Click on OK, so that your route table association will be completed. That's it. And same properties and same locks also. So if you come to the VNet, and if you go to the subnet, here you can see the route table associated. So this way, if it is your network security group or route table is already created, here itself while creating the subnet, you can associate it, or else later you can create your network security group, later you can create your route table and assign it to the respective subnet.